So I've been thinking about what I was going to say today on this video. It's June 4th, 2025. My mom would have been 81, I believe. I've talked a lot about my dad, what a great man he was. The things I've said about my mom have been mostly negative. But I want anybody who watches this to understand that's not how I wanted it. My parents, they came from a generation where showing emotion and was kind of frowned upon. And it took me years to get my dad to say I love you. I just had to say it to him so many times. It's not because he didn't love me. It's just that wasn't common to him. But eventually, he did. My mom just never really came around to that. I tried. I'd given up at the end. The last couple of years, she was just so hateful. And, I certainly wasn't perfect. No human being is. And I'm not saying that to downplay my own sins in that relationship. Just being honest. So yeah, it's difficult for me to talk about her. And not just be, just completely negative. She was very abusive. Real abuse, not this financial, emotional abuse, that you see in modern women and divorce proceedings. No, she used to seriously, beat me. I'd come home from school, my dad would be gone. He was in the military. And she'd be drinking her boxed wine out of the fridge. And I don't know. Yeah, she just never liked me, man. I'm not sure why. To this day, I don't know why. I think she loved me. I'm not entirely sure about that. She would say the most hateful things, just out of the blue, too. It would almost be comical. We'd be having a nice conversation, and she'd ask me about something, and then, just say the nastiest shit. Her last words to me were, "You're a piece of shit." So, and I don't know, maybe she was, different with others. And when I was a kid, it used to infuriate me how she would be rude, abusive to me, and then be nice to strangers, or neighbors. It just always killed me. It's like, why can't you give me some of that? Maternal warmth is not something she had. But still, she's one of my children's ancestors. So I wanted to tell you all about her on her birthday. And I think it's probably best I just tell you what she enjoyed doing. Because if we get into emotions and stuff like that, it's not going to go well. She was real proud of her Southern heritage. She was a member of Daughters of the Confederacy for many years. She had some kind of dust up with them. I'm not sure why. She loved genealogy. I, at least in part, get my love of genealogy from her. She had documented something like 13,000 relatives in just the 19th and 18th century. I guess 18, 19, 20. Yeah. That's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy to think, that 13,000 people had to come before me to make me. And if just one of them, had not had sex, I wouldn't be here. She did taxes for a very long time, H&R Block. My mom was not a stupid woman. She wasn't a genius like my dad. No, she was more like me, just average, but not stupid. Lord, I hated driving with her. She would scream at the slightest thing, some car three car lengths up turning with a turn signal. She'd be like, watch out, watch out. Oh no. I know she did love her grandchildren. I think she did. I have to admit being a little jealous of that sometimes. But hopefully they just had positive interactions with her. She was very pro-Trump. I think one incident that really shaped her and shaped my entire family was the death of her brother, Guy Thomas, Corky, they called it, in Vietnam. He was apparently a good guy. And her parents, were just sort of just average, kind of country people. My grandfather would take me with him to the bar and give me a fistful of quarters to play the, whatever video game there was. I think it was Breakout, but I could be wrong. Her mother, really funny, very nice person, good sense of humor. She could be very generous. There was, like I said, I don't know if she loved me or if she was capable of love, but she certainly had a sense of obligation. Family is family. I respect that. She never turned me away when I was, at rock bottom. And, I'm thankful for that. She had a couple of friends that I know of. I can't remember their names. Ladies that she was in organizations with, Daughters of the Confederacy, that sort of thing. I think she was in some other groups too, but that's the one I remember the most. That, and I would, go visit her and to see how she was doing. And she'd be working on her little laptop on Ancestry.com, tracking. Maybe it was just something to keep her busy. And I certainly understand that. You got to find a way to fill up the time. And she had gotten pretty frail at the end there. She had a maid, and I was pretty much going over there at least every other day. She would fall, she would need help with stuff. And other family members tried to help her too, begrudgingly, because she was nasty to them as well. But I think she loved her grandkids. I don't know how she couldn't. They're very lovable. Human beings are complicated, and it's all too easy to label someone good or bad. Wash your hands of it. My mom was generous to the people who worked for her. She gave one guy a car. I mean, she was going to get rid of it anyhow. It wasn't worth much, but still. There was one guy who worked for her, and she was still paying him years later. He had to go on to dialysis. His name was Junior. And whenever he needed, like $20, $40 or whatever, even though he couldn't do anything for her, work-wise, she would still take care of him. As for, her general worldview, she grew up in the 40s, 50s, and 60s in the deep South, Mobile, Alabama. So she's a product of that environment. She went to Murphy High School. I actually found her senior yearbook. It's around here somewhere. Don't know what I'm going to do with it. I guess I'll just put it up in a closet till someone else throws it away after I die. Do I miss her? I never wanted her dead. I didn't have any malice towards her. My feelings towards her were just sort of a resignation that I wasn't ever able to bridge that gap between her and I. It just wasn't possible. There was nothing I could do or say that was going to turn her into a maternal person. I remember growing up, I used to wish that my dad would leave my mom and marry my aunt. When I was a kid, my cousin would tell me, that can't happen. She's a lot smarter than me, even at that age. She would make me really furious at times. Never hit her. I always thought to myself I probably would take 10 years, off of my mental exhaustion if I just punched her in the nose one time. But I never did that. Sure wanted to, though. Lord, she would say the most hateful shit. She would do the most hateful shit. Lulu, hush. She loved animals. Lulu was one of her dogs that I've inherited. Her other dog, Humphrey, sadly passed away before I moved out here, but he was on his last leg anyhow. She was good to her animals. She was always cooking them like rice and livers. Oh, she loved to give them livers. It made me go to the store special to get them for her. I probably need to try that with my dogs, but I've been giving them a lot of stuff too. So, did I love my mom? Man, I tried. I think that, yeah, I did in some kind of fucked up Stockholm kind of way. I mean, the physical abuse stopped when I was, I don't know, 15 or so. I could stand up for myself, and I'll let her know, you touch me again, I'll be touching you back. And so that ended that. I just got tired of getting wailed on. Later in her life, she converted to Roman Catholicism. Went to St. Pius, the 10th, here in Mobile. She would go over to that big church, Dolphin Way Missionary Baptist. So we just all call it Fort Jesus. She would go over there to walk. There they had like an indoor track. It's actually where she was when my father passed away. She felt very guilty about that. And I tried to assuage her guilt, but I don't know. She wasn't having it. She spoke her mind, and her verbal filter was only partially in place. Towards the end there, even less. I know that her mind wasn't entirely good, but it wasn't that bad either. She quit drinking later in life. She never smoked cigarettes. She had me get her a vape one time. I don't know why. I guess she just wanted to see what the big hubbub was. Never did drugs. I mean, I smoked weed with my dad one time. Cause he was just curious about what the big stink was. But best of my knowledge, she never did. Now, I don't know. Maybe she was some wild party girl, back in the 50s or early 60s. I guess she would have graduated high school about 62. And she married my dad, helped support him after they were married while he went to school and got his degrees. She was a hard worker, so there's that. She was not the type person to miss work. I don't know, man. Like I said, human beings are complicated. I just hope that Lulu Hush. I hope that wherever she's at peace. I do believe that there is something after this life. My personal beliefs aren't pertinent to this conversation. I just hope she's at peace. She had revealed to me at the end some things about her childhood she and I shared in common. Some very dark, tragic things. And I don't know, maybe she just never recovered from that. Maybe she was just trying to do the best she could. That's all any of us can do. Mom, if you can hear this, which I don't know if you can or not, I love you. Happy birthday. Know that you're missed.